This is One Leeds. Welcome back to the latest video. This video, as always, is sponsored by Shop GNO, the Job Match Group, and Match Bingo. Let's get into it. First up, the Job Match Group. Whether you're looking for your next big gig or just browsing, the Job Match Group has niche job sites made just for you. F1, retail, security, and loads more. They're about matching the right person to the right job. Make sure you check them out if you're ready to level up your career. Then we've got Shop GNO, an exciting new e-commerce site where you can grab exclusive deals and discounts. Right now, One Leeds has an affiliate link just below where you can score a 25 quid membership for free, unlocking special rates and benefits. You can even list your own shop on there with way better rates than Amazon, eBay, and Vinted. They've got some Leeds bits and some general bits now and launching soon, plus some great prizes just for signing up. This is all powered by a massive Leeds United fan looking to make waves in the online shopping world. So check them out and support your local. And don't forget our mates at Match Bingo. They're smashing it with footy fun. You can get 5 bingo cards for the price of 4 through One Leeds, and you can even deposit just a £5 at a time to join the action. It's a big chance to win whilst having a blast with your fellow Leeds United friends. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Check the links in the description, and let's get on with the video. Hello, hello. Any better? Any better? Are we here? Are we not? Are we here? Are we not? Are we here? Are we not? Do. I can't even tell because my stream's not caught up. We're good. Are we there? Can you hear? Right. Huh? Might actually smash up the gaff. Right, we're here. Ah! Flipping heck. I'm so sorry, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. Oh my god. If you aren't aware of the chaos of last night, then look, I'll just give you a little bit of an update, everybody. Apologies for the lateness. Apologies for this not been at 10. Apologies for this thing. That I am about to smash up. We do have some rumors today. We have some bits. Listen, if you have just joined, or listen, you're going to be filing this back on the old audio on the sound waves when it comes to iTunes, when it comes to Spotify. This bit you can go via the timestamps. We will cancel this out, okay? So don't worry if you're here on the live and you've missed out the first 5 minutes because of my flipping thing. Don't worry about it. The timestamps will eradicate that. Apologies again, everybody. There's something that's going on with this sound rubbish, and me and Gabe have been talking about it. We're gonna have to move off it, I think. So don't worry, that will be sorted in due course. Sometimes this happens. Right, okay, so just a little bit of an update on last night. Why wasn't it 10? Why wasn't we doing 10 at a.m.? My partner, we had to go to A&E last night. I'm not going to go into exactly what happened, but yeah, went to A&E last night. So I've had the grand total of about 30 minutes sleep. So as you're there for your partner all the time, aren't you? And you're trying to make sure she's okay and all this sort of stuff. So it's just been a nightmare sort of last 12 hours, really. So not had that much kip, so stay with me. Apologies for that this morning. And we're here still delivering you guys the news on the weekday because I know you guys enjoy it. I know you love it. I know you love the consistency. Some of you, are here and it's a big thing. It's a big part of your day. And I'm not just going to miss out on that. I'm never going to do that. So whatever comes, I am going to be here to provide you with the news, but to talk to you mainly. I know you guys love the old DDD. We're back here. Sorry for the stuff that's happened this morning. Apologies for being late. There is genuine circumstance this morning, so apologies for all of that. Shout out to all of you in the building. Hello, I'm not going to get through all of your comments, everybody. Blessings, appreciation, and gratitude. Hope your other half gets well soon. Thanks for that, mate. Helen, what's your opinion on the third kit? Yeah, Helen, we'll get into that in a little bit. So thank you guys for all of the lovely comments there, which is great. But yeah, fantastic stuff. Here he is. We're all good. Thank goodness, man. We're all good. Right, let's get into it, shall we, everybody? Okay, so Rodrigo Muniz. Here we go. Here we go. How are we all feeling about this? Well, there's some good news. There's some good news regarding Rodrigo Muniz this morning, which might get you all a little bit hyped. So TMW, which is a pretty decent source on the European circuit, there is right now a little bit of good news when it comes to the Fulham striker. Okay, a little bit of good news. Representatives, Atalanta, flew in to London allegedly around about 2 days ago, which we knew. Then they flew in again yesterday to carry on conversations with Rodrigo Muniz's camp. The whole conversation is Fulham apparently don't want to sell. What a load of rubbish. What a load of rubbish. Every player has their price. The reason they're coming out and saying we don't want to sell, we don't want to sell, we don't want to sell is because they want to drive that negotiation up. They want to drive that bargain and all that sort of stuff. You know what it's like, everybody. So it's all part of negotiation, all of it. So they flew in, spoke with Fulham yesterday, but I thought Fulham didn't want to negotiate. They do want to negotiate 100%. As I keep saying, every player has their price. Okay. TMW stating today that Atalanta are not willing to meet the price. They are not willing to meet the valuation. And what I found pretty interesting about all of this, everybody, is we now have a valuation of Rodrigo Muniz. TMW are reporting this morning that Atalanta were put off by Fulham's asking price. Fulham's asking price was 43.5 million quid. And that is apparently, according to a few sources today, that is where Atalanta have stalled. There's absolutely no way. I keep mentioning this for an absolute look. I'm not a massive viewer of La Liga. I dip in with Bundesliga. But when it comes to Serie A, I know the ecosystem of that division. I've loved Serie A since around about 1999. Okay. The ecosystem of that division was so confusing. I get they've got CL football, but Atalanta are in a situation right now where there is absolutely no way. And this is what we were saying at the very start when it came to Ivan Juric, when it came to Roma bidding with Igor Pajau. And I get it's different situations. I get it's different circumstances. Juve are in a massive turmoil at this moment when it comes to money coming in. They cannot get certain valuations for players that they want, but they have to sell. And then you look at Atalanta as well. There is no way they are a level. They've not brought in enough money. They've not brought in enough money over the last 5 years in general to be able to put up, to be able to front up nearly, bear in mind, you got to front up his wages as well, which is a package is probably going to come in at around about 50, maybe 55, 60 million quid. 43.5 million quid is the valuation. So apparently, now we actually know, because we went in for 32. It was promptly rejected. Fulham have gone on about 50 million quid for the last however many months. Interestingly, they're going for Kevin at Shakhtar right now. Would they need funds for that potentially, or do they not need that? But it's 30 million quid. Shakhtar have rejected that bid. How high are they going to go for Kevin at Shakhtar? What a player, by the way. It looks like. I know some of you were mentioning him. I've had a quick look. I've never come across Kevin before, but I've had a quick look at him for Shakhtar. We're going to speak about another Shakhtar prodigy today who Leeds are linked with, but he looks unbelievable, Kevin, by the way. Jesus Christ, it looks like a replica of Willian. So so they might need extra funds for him. They may need Rodrigo Muniz, or they might think to themselves, look, we'll keep all the Rodrigo Muniz and add Kevin. But is that realistic? So it's a lot of dominoes that need to fall right now. Now, when we are looking at this valuation, though, everybody, for me, this makes a lot of sense. We were speaking earlier on about it being 50 million quid, and Fulham might even want north. They want it even north of 50 million quid. No way, you're not getting that for him, in my opinion. And as I keep saying, every player's got their price. So Leeds are still there, still, in my opinion. Of from what I get, you don't get a lot of ITK in there, but when you do hear little bits, Leeds are still waiting in the wings. They've not been put off by it whatsoever. And Leeds, from what I've gathered, have always known that he's going to be a lot of money. It's just that negotiation phase. It's that mid-bracket. But reports are stating today something that we kind of thought would happen. It's going to be in around 40 to 45 million quid. There was always going to be a midpoint. Leeds were going to get a bid rejected of 32 million quid. Fulham were going to say, I've been saying it's 50 million quid all the time. There's got to be that middle point. There's got to be that middle point. So it's whether or not you think he's worth that. It's whether or not you think Rodrigo Muniz is worth that. It's not my money. How I look at it is, if Leeds are waiting in the wings, they're still there. Atalanta are not willing to make that grade. Leeds have still got, and this is where patience brings in quality for me. We've got to get out of this notion of, and we do the room mill every day. We get the regulars in here. We get the newbies in here as well, who may be new to the format. All the regulars are in here, and kind of, it's great in the chat because you all educate the newbies on what to expect here. It's great. I always love seeing the synergy in the chat and like the newies and the oldies. But I think what we portray on here and convey on here is patience. Don't get me wrong, there can be frustration. Pajau, remember that? Pajau, flip it, it's so frustrating. But what they're trying to do, and I put it out on a tweet yesterday, okay, is they're trying to get the better target. I keep mentioning this. They need to get that next bracket. If they don't get that next bracket, we're going down. You cannot bring in a low-grade player just because it's realistic. You bring in a low-grade player because it's realistic, you're going down. The league's too good. So when you're looking at that, and when you're looking at Rodrigo Muniz, he's not that grade. He's proven in the Premier League, which a lot of people want. He's 24 years of age. He's got a massive sell-on value as well. He's already proven that in the big games he can do it. Tottenham, Chelsea, getting the winner at Stamford Bridge. Performs above his XG. Is mobile, quick, strong, 6'1". So Fulham are not wanting to sell him, but every player has the price, especially with PSR, a massive thing in football nowadays. Okay. So, and obviously with them going for Kevin, how far is that price going to go up? Could they go out and get Ricardo Pepe? Could they go out and get Romelu and bring in players like that for a cheaper value, get a lot for Rodrigo Muniz, and then be able to add a little bit more to Kevin? And obviously, you look at what they brought Rodrigo Muniz in for, they'd make a mass amount of profit if Leeds went to 43.5. So it looks good on the books. It makes sense for Fulham. But patience is key, everybody. I have to say, I get it's slow. I understand it's slow, 100%. But we can't be, in my opinion anyway, entitled enough to think that Leeds are going to be getting this highbrow bracket of player in every single week. And when people are, when, you know, and I get it, we get it in the chat a lot, but they need to do this. They need to. Well, what else? What else can they do? What else can they really do? And we're getting into the rumors in this video, of course, but you've kind of got to be waiting in the wings. And that's my message this morning a little bit. It's patience is key when you want in quality. It really is, because if you don't do that, you are going to get these mid bracket, and you can't turn around. We can't be this fan base that's so entitled that we turn around and say, well, Beal, Stack, Muniz, Bilal El Khannouss, bang, bang, Pajab, whatever, whoever it is, have to be in by said day. And I've said it. I think a lot of the personnel need to be in for this day, you know, because we're playing Everton. But really, when you take a step back and you look at the squads in comparison, we're not that far off. We're really not. And if we can wait and, you know, we get something against Everton and we're waiting, and then we drop points against Arsenal and you know, Newcastle, but then you're going into the 4th, 5th, 6th fixtures, which are favourable for Leeds, and you've got your targets, and you've not just pressed the panic button and gone for a low, you know, recognizable, reasonable fee for a player who's not going to make a difference, but you've got them in before Everton. I would rather go with the former. 100%, I would rather go with the former. Echo as well in there, everybody. Just this guy down there. Mods, you know what to do. Do us a favor. He's been doing it throughout the chat. So you know what to do, lads. Let's have a look in here. Finally caught alive, says Pierre Dollar. Shout out to see you, mate. The most professional Leeds channel on YouTube. Congrats. Thank you so much, Pierre. Really appreciate that, buddy. Atalanta have the money, though. Good to see you in here, Matty. They've just sold Retegui to Saudi and looking to sell Lookman. Weird. It depends on the construction of the squad as well, Matty. I think they've got a lot to do. And even Juric has targets, of which we're not going to speak about on here, but Ivan Juric has targets of which emphasize his reputation, and it's not just going to be Rodrigo Muniz, put it that way. And when you look at it as well, Matty, when you're constructing a side, a new formula from when you've had Gasperini and then you move in to an Ivan Juric side, it's everything needs to change. Everything needs to change. It's not just, you know, you've gone from a tactically fluid manager who plays and exposes wingers and improves younger players, and the forward line is supposed to be interchangeable, to an Ivan Juric side, which is quite rigid, quite structured. The framework is very predictable. So he's going to go out and they're going to have to mold the squad to the new manager's ideology. So it might not be that of Muniz. They might not want to plummet 43.5 million quid, whatever that is in euros, into a striker, you know? And we obviously don't know the accounts fully yet, do we, when it comes to them? So, okay, let's get into a couple more of your comments. MJ Gaming says, do you think we'll stay up with a Muniz and fullback cover? Good question, mate. Good question. Really nice question. I would say, depends on the fullback cover. Oh, it's a really good question. It's a really top question. No, no, no. I think we need something else. Now, if we're talking Muniz, fullback cover, and Bilal El Khannouss, yes. Ricky Saunders says, Connor, I commute 1 hour in the car and watch the Rumours every day. Just want to say thank you for all your hard work you put in. I appreciate it. Thank you, Ricky. Top man. I appreciate that, buddy. Thanks a lot, man. Right, let's move on. Spot on, mate. Would rather wait and get it right. Have you seen the Taremi rumour? Yeah, we'll get on to that in a sec, Oscar. Looks like the first 3 games are going to be tough. Richard said, I'd still like us to look at Bonnie from Parma. Yeah. 20 years old. 20 years old, decent numbers. Once again, mate, it's going to be tougher. It's going to be tough again, I think. It's getting someone like that. Muniz would be a real statement signing. Outside of him, we'll be over the moon to see someone land like Mitrovic, but aware his wages would be a potential issue. We should put 36 mil plus 4 add-ons. Dave says, I feel it's right to hang on for Muniz. I agree that we have to aim high. One point worth mentioning is that Newcastle are rumoured to be sitting on the sidelines for him too. That is very, very true, my mate. Luke says 40 million for a Prem-ready striker after we got the likes of Stack for 17. I'd be okay with that. That's what you got to think when Luke's bang on. We've not, I don't really think that you've got to think of statement marquee signings. Your statement marquee signings have to be the players further forward. They have to be, because they keep you in the division. You know, the rear guard makes you solid, can win you points, but up front is your extravagant players, your X factor who win you games. Okay, they win you games. If you don't have that, you're going down. And I think we're going to get into the friendlies in just a second, but I'm really impressed with what I've seen so far when it's come to Leeds, but there is an evident gap. There's an evident gap. Ramazani and Nonto, I absolutely love. Dan James' availability is going to be a thing, of course, and he's going to be fit and ready for the start of the season, we're hoping. But there is just seemingly that next level of X factor. X factor that's maybe missing from two positions where I think we can make a move. Okay, let's see how many of you are in the building this morning, everybody. We have a solid 18. Wow. Big congratulations to, well, not congratulations, but big thank you to all of you. Fantastic. Thank you so much, everybody. Slap a like on the video, of course. Paolo says, relatively new to this channel. Love it. Thanks for your hard work. My favorite morning viewing. Thank you, Paolo. Really appreciate it. We'll get onto the third kit in a sec, mate. Right, Bilal El Khannouss. What can I tell you about him going into it? Okay, so the structure at the minute when it comes to Leeds United and El Khannouss, an inquiry has been made. Okay, what else do we know when it comes to the secondary bullet point? Meetings have taken place between Bilal, El Khannouss, and Leeds United representatives, etc. Sasha Tavaleri, I think, is becoming a little bit of a transfer guru. I think his reputation is definitely elevated this year. We've seen some rumors broken by him as well. Look, he mentioned Anton Stack very early on, didn't he? Which is good when it comes to notoriety, building that reputation. So he suggested, or he stated in a tweet the other day, European competition is not decisive for Bilal El Khannouss. Fascinating. Leeds United have scheduled more with player in the coming days. Palace could come. Let's break that down. European competition not decisive for Bilal El Khannouss. Now, maybe that is where he's focusing on having a little bit more game time. Comes to Leeds United, he's the main man, can build his profile again, can then go on to a higher sort of pedigree of club. You go into a European competition and look, you can play for a Monaco, you can play for an RB Leipzig, you can play for a Tottenham, but you might get that next level of exposure when it comes to Leeds United playing week in, week out. Is there going to be a guarantee that you're going to play for Red Bull Leipzig? Well, no, because Xavi Simons is likely on the cards there, I believe. Monaco, apparently they're scouting around when it comes to central attacking midfielders. Tottenham, there's not a guarantee that you're going to be playing week in, week out, especially if they go for Eze. Leeds United, when you look at El Khannouss, right at this moment in time, he is number one for us. He's number one. When you're looking at everything when it comes to a formal inquiry, when you look at meetings took place, none of this has happened, according to reports with other clubs. Not even a single inquiry has been made. What did we mention yesterday on the rumour mill? A release clause can be met, doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. Now, what we do know is, what day are we on right now? We are on, I don't know what minute I'm on. I still think I'm on hospital time. Thursday, 7th of August is release clause expiry date is on the 15th. That means that beyond that date, Leicester can charge whatever they want for Bilal El Khannouss and get into a little bit of a bidding war, which helps Leicester, of course. So Leicester's prerogative right now is for that expiry clause to happen, and then they can start a bidding war. They could charge 40 million quid for him, although we know that Leicester are in a little bit of dire need for money. However, they have just made around about 9 to 10 million for Wilfred Ndidi, I believe, from Besiktas. So something to bear in mind there as well. So meetings have took place. Let's break down that. So European competition is not decisive, which is really good news, because you felt with a lot of our targets so far that these European competitions have been massive news. Leeds scheduled more with player in the coming days. That's not happening with any other club right now. Decisively, we know that's not happening because there's not been anything from the Spurs network. I am on the plug when it comes. I'm on the plug. I'm on the pulse when it comes to Bilal El Khannouss. I'm researching this guy about 400 times a day. There has been nothing from a Palace end, from a Monaco end, from a Leipzig end, from a West Ham end, from any end, apart from Leeds United in terms of that progression of talks. So that's what we know so far. And Graham, I believe, has come out the other day on his newsletter and said he's come out the other day on his newsletter. It might have been yesterday, mid in the morning. I think a couple of you guys are saying it in the comment section as well, stating that Bilal El Khannouss is extremely interested in the move to Leeds United. I'm going to go out on a whim. I said this yesterday. This gets done. I think this gets done. I think Leeds United are going to go really hard for him. We've seen other clubs interested in some of our targets when it comes to Jacobiol, Newcastle trying to hijack him at the very end. We've seen the likes of Anton Stack, multiple clubs in for Stack, and Leeds United managing to get him. Why? Because they were decisive. They went early. They made the player know that they want him. Stack mentioned that in his interview. He loved the fact that Leeds desperately wanted him. I think that is a big thing in football. Someone said to me the other day, the manager isn't a big factor. Of course he is. Of course he is. You know, if Daniel Farke goes and says, look, you are going to be the metronome of my plan. You are going to be so key. You're going to play every single minute. Our vertical build-up's going to go through you. With the base, you've got Anton Stack, Tanaka, and Ampadu going to feed you the ball. You've got more protection. You've got more overloads than you had at Leicester. You're going to get a better number 9 because we're going in for Rodrigo Muniz, which is going to elevate your profile because you'll have more assists, more goals, more combinations. I think Leeds are going to be able to sell something to El Khannouss, and I have a feeling, still above Rodrigo Muniz, I'll be honest with you, I'm still not feeling that that might happen, but I don't know. I could be wrong. But I do think Leeds get Bilal El Khannouss done. That's my thoughts. That's my thoughts. I think that one gets done. I think Leeds are going to be really aggressive with it. Cork Island says, buy a pint in Dublin. Thanks for the content. Thank you so much, buddy. If any of you are in Ireland as well, tomorrow, the day after, unfortunately, I'm not going on Friday because my dad and my brother work shifts, so I can't do that annoyingly. I wish I was there on Friday, but Saturday morning, I will be there. And we are going to Slattery Pub, I think. I think we're going to the Slattery. We're going to go to Camden, but I think it's a bit too far out. So I think we're going to go straight to the Slattery Pub, and I think there's like pubs and stuff down there. If you are in and around there, it'd be great to meet as many people as possible. I'm meeting up with Jer. I think I'm going to be meeting up with Darren from Only Leeds Bros as well, when it comes to the content sphere as well. Some of my good mates in the YouTube space. So we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. From yesterday, the El Khannouss situation hasn't changed. We're waiting on Bilal to say yes or no to the 50k offer. Well, it has changed, David, hence what I've just mentioned out there, mate. We didn't know the other day that European competitions isn't a thing to him, because if European competitions was a thing to him, we'd be struggling right now. If his preference was European competition, then you're probably looking at other clubs being able to go ahead and get him, and he's going to be stalling and stalling and stalling. Graham Smith mentioned that he's very interested yesterday in coming to Leeds United as well. And it feels like right now, when it comes to a formal inquiry and meetings took place, nobody is in around that region with Leeds United, because the others haven't even come in for him yet. So the release clause will only be met when they have an agreement with him. And this seems to be a bit of a confusing point. And I understand it. I completely get it. But what is the point in triggering a release clause? What is the point in triggering a release clause if you know the player's not going to come? What's the point? What they now know from reading reports in around the European circuit and all this sort of stuff is that Bilal El Khannouss is very interested in a move to Leeds United. We've made the formal inquiry. We're meeting with his camp again in the next couple of days, according to reports this morning, which would then, if he is completely on board with the Leeds United project, would then trigger a release clause, as long as it's before the 15th. Thanks, Robbie. Rob says, good morning, Connor. Hope all is well following last night. Thanks, buddy. Watched Salzburg versus Bruges last night. Jolis has convinced me. Get him now. Yes, mate. I got a lot of people sending Jolis to me last night after that. So yeah, mate. It's but he's a good player, bud. He's a very, very good player, and only young as well. Bad feeling. Bet goes to Palace. Only if Eze goes. Only if Eze goes, then we may have a bit of a problem. But hopefully we've got it done by then. Martin says, got to take the gamble. Like what happened with this Rutter, fees are relevant, and we don't lose a penny here. A win is a win. Rich, it will be his choice anyway. We have to get the player on board. Trigger the clause. Cal says, top man, Connor, top man for keeping the channel on today with your last in A&E. Thanks, buddy. Connor, what's the hold up with El Khannouss? If Leeds wants him and the player wants to come to Leeds, we don't know if the player fully wants it yet, mate. We don't know if the player fully wants it. Apparently, he's very interested, but Leeds will have to present the project to him, and Leeds United will effectively have to convince him that coming to Leeds United is the right move for him. He can be interested, but meeting with his camp, his representatives in the next few days after the formal inquiry, I'm sure, like we just spoke about with Rodrigo Muniz, when the Atalanta representatives have flown in, Leeds are going to have to do that with Khannouss and convince him. And this is what they'll be doing in the next couple of days, and saying, look, this is what we see. This is the project, like they did with Igor Paixão when they went up against Marseille. This is where you fit, etc. He's got to be convinced by Farke, the project, Leeds United. So if I'm coming to Leeds United, I don't want to be in another relegation scrap. That might be what Khannouss says. And Leeds might turn around and say, well, that's not the objective this year. The objective is to finish 14th or 15th. And then we're going to build and build and build. And that's probably what you've got to sell to him, you know? So we'll have to wait and see with a big fat release clause in there, I'm sure. Sanjin Dedic, hi mate. Hi, first time watching you live. We should sign Hoyland. Yeah, that's it's been sent to me a couple of times, mate, in terms of Hoyland. So I'll have to wait and see on that one. Okay, let's get into the man. Good news in regards to our boy here, Mateo Joseph. According to several reports this morning, Mallorca are willing to meet the loan clause. Interestingly, with Leeds United, reports are coming out this morning that we will not entertain a fee because nobody's matching it. Brilliant, Leeds United. Well done, Leeds United. I absolutely love that. We're not dumbing our fee down. We're not dumbing our standards to meet Betis and all this sort of stuff, which was doing my head in, to be honest, everybody. I was getting really frustrated with the fact that it's your Betis are coming in. They came in January, offered a pitiful amount that Leeds weren't willing. A pitiful amount when it comes to Leeds United's understanding. Leeds didn't want to sell him for that much. They'll have had conversations. Didn't happen. Leeds dug their heels in and said, no, that's not happening. We didn't let that happen in January. It didn't derail anything. Mateo Joseph's not gone about this the best way, in my opinion, even though I'm a big advocate of Mateo Joseph. I don't have white tinted glasses on or Joseph tinted glasses on. He's gone about this the wrong way, in my opinion. I don't like how he's done that. I don't care if he wants to play football. You don't refuse to play for Leeds United. You can play for Leeds United and your profile can still be elevated in pre-season if you get 4 or 5 goals. Okay? And you're only going to help yourself. I can't stand the way he's gone about it. That is the sentiment side of me, which isn't always there. But the sentiment side of me is you have a privilege to put on that Leeds United shirt. You do not turn around and refuse to play. I don't like that, at all. And we've given him his chance. He's signed whatever the circumstances. He's got to the stage he's at in his career because of Leeds United, because of the Spain squad as well. But Leeds United have harnessed his growth. You do not refuse to play for the club. I don't like that. However, what I will say is Leeds apparently, and we mentioned this on the other day when it came to the rumour mill. If he goes out to La Liga and he performs and he gets 15 or 20 goals, comes back, well, you're still our asset, mate. You're still our asset. So we can then sell you on for a higher value. Betis want to come in again. Oh, we'll give you 10 million quid. You're not having 10 million quid. It's not 10 million quid. You look at him now, he's just gone out to Mallorca. They could come in again for him as well. He's just scored X amount of goals. Worst case scenario, Leeds go down next season. You have then got a Mateo Joseph, okay, who's gone to La Liga, scored an absolute shed load of goals, comes back. We're in a perfect situation. Leeds United are not willing to let him go for a loan with an obligation. It's a loan with an option. This is what we've been saying on the rumour mill for the past week. Do not send him out with an obligation because that puts all the power into the other club's hands. With an option, Leeds have that power. Once again, it comes to negotiation at the end of the season. I think when you send this guy out on loan, when you give him a set amount of games, I think next season minimum he's going to get 10 goals in La Liga. I think it's a perfect league for him, to be honest with you. A little bit slower, a little bit more methodical, but I think he will develop. He's very confidence-based player, Mateo Joseph. You can tell that. He wants faith from a manager. He's going to get that with Mallorca. They start him as a number 9, which will be the preference for him, presumably in negotiation as well. Let him go. Absolutely. I'm sick of dealing with Real Betis. I'm sick. When they took my boy Mark Rocker, joking. Reeled you in though, didn't I? But look, we've dealt with them a long time, haven't we? And if they're not willing to cough up the money, then you go for a loan. Yeah, and maybe according to sources, you go all the way back to the beginning of the window. Leeds weren't willing to sell. Leeds were not willing to sell Mateo Joseph. So I feel that would develop because, like we said with Rodrigo and Muniz, money talks. If some club had come in for 15, 20 million, I think Leeds would have got rid of him. But if you're offering anything below that, Leeds are not willing to negotiate a fee. Leeds don't want to sell. Yeah, very shrewd negotiation. So out on a loan with an option, absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect for me, and we'll wait and see what happens. Okay, anybody else more excited by Championship last year than Premier this year? No, mate. I'd much rather be in the Premier League. Exactly what we need to be doing. We hold all the cards on Joseph. Sends a message to the other players as well. Keep your head down 100%. Larkin says as well, nice to see we have a backbone. He's been tapped up. We should sell Betis to do one. People are saying Ben Doak. If there's a link for this, that'd be interesting. If there's not a link, then I've honestly not seen anything on Ben Doak, to be honest with you. Fulham. Sorry. Just putting something in there. quick look. Sorry, just going on something. Let's have a look. How much do we know? How much we got Firpo? Do we know how much we got Firpo from Betis? It was undisclosed, mate, wasn't it? It was undisclosed. Mark says, "Do loans help with PSR, Connor?" They do, mate. They do indeed. Yes, they do. Bonnie Blue's in the chat. Shout out to Bonnie Blue. How is Michael? Poor attitude. Take Nonto is a good example of how to learn and change for the better. Nonto gained my respect after he learned his errors. Loans help. Loans help. If what we do, mate, there's too many words there for this morning. No link to Bendo, but we would be a good signing. Your name, mate, but that's why. Indeed. Right, okay, Medhi Taremi. We spoke about this guy a little bit earlier on this window. He has been linked to Leeds United yet again. Gazzetta dello Sport reporting this morning that there has been a fresh inquiry from the Whites for the Iranian striker, 33 years of age, and apparently he's refusing to train for Inter. I absolutely love this, don't you? The modern era, the modern era when players refuse to train. They refuse to turn up for training camps. They refuse to play. Should we just pack up and go follow basketball or something? And should we just pack up and should the One Leeds community just go follow or should we create our own sport? Playing football, refusing to play. Crazy. Fresh approach anyway, and apparently Medhi Taremi wants an English move. That's his next target. 33 years of age for me. Very much similar to Dovbyk. Not that mobile, bit of a target man. 33 years of age would make absolutely no sense to come to Leeds United at that age unless he was like a backup, but I'd rather take Nemecha, 100%. I'd rather have Peru. I'd probably rather have Joseph, to be honest with you. So, yeah, I'd be interested to see if any of you guys are that bothered about this. I think it's kind of gone of the age where we should be looking at that age of player coming in. Can that age of player sustain himself in the Premier League? I mean, he's barely sustained himself in Serie A. Not for me. Mike says, Medhi Taremi, get him in. Need a guy for the here and now, not a green light prospect. I'll be happy if he comes in and scores 10 goals. So where does he fit then, Mike? Where does he fit? Get him in. So that would be, if you do want him in, Mike, that would be so you'd be happy with him as a striker because then we're not getting another forward because you can't have Bamford. But Bamford we're struggling to get rid of. Joseph, if he goes on loan, fair enough. So would you be happy with Taremi, Nemecha, Peru, and Bamford is your 4? For me, that stinks of relegation. That absolutely stinks of relegation. Is anyone else in the camp of Mike? It's fair enough, by the way, but surprised really with that, Mike. Few of the no chances in there. Might as well keep Bamford. Don't want to play with ropey attitude. This guy is a no-go. He fits in the shape. Taremi will be perfect for Sheffield Wednesday, says Chris. I don't think that this would be a good shout, to be honest with you. And it feels like you're on your own there, Mike, to be honest with you. I'm giving a lot to be honest with you there, so we'll leave it there. We'll leave it there with Taremi. Not for me. Okay, this is an interesting one when it... excuse me, throat's nearly gone there. Right, let's have a look at the next rumour, shall we? There he is. Vinícius Tobías. Okay, now we spoke about Kevin at Shaktar. We spoke about Willian before at Shaktar when it comes to the player analysis the other day. Vinícius Tobías, former Real Madrid product. According to Football Europa, this morning, Leeds United are in the early stages of negotiation with the Brazilian right back. Leeds are yet to make an offer, which we're all kind of used to at this moment in time. And the price is 17.4 million. The big issue here is when it comes to Shakhtar Donetsk is they want a massive sell-on clause, a huge sell-on clause, which obviously would mean if he was to leave Leeds, he's a good age, isn't he? Good age, Soccer AM. If you know, you know. At 21 years of age, there is a likelihood he'd be moving on from Leeds United. He's not going to be at Leeds United for his entire career, isn't he? Looks like a really good player, really quick, massive goal threat, very similar to that of Jadon Bogle, in my opinion. But it's a lot of money, isn't it? But it's not our money. It's not our money. So if the Niners want to put 17.4 million quid, and there's been people saying to me that we don't want to go out and get a free agent. They don't want to be going out and getting a cheap fullback cover. You want someone with real quality and real, sustenance and real ability. So if that is the case, then you want someone like Vinícius Tobías, someone on that right-hand side who is going to come in and let's do the Nottingham Forest. Let's go out and spend 20 million quid minimum on every single player as they got promoted. But there has been a methodology there to it before, hasn't there? So a lot of people saying it's too much money for fullback cover. I guess then what you want, there's a lot of people saying James Justin isn't good enough for Leeds. A lot of people saying Nelson Semedo wasn't good enough for Leeds. So it's kind of like you can never get it right. It's too expensive. It's too high wages, or it's too cheap and they're not good enough. So that middle ground is effectively what I think we'll be looking at. Now, I'm not saying this is true, but I do wonder how long Bogle is going to be out for. I know there's been a few bits suggesting that he's going to be out for a longer time. From Leeds Live, the great source that it is, they've done a prediction really on the returnees, and I think Farke was pretty hopeful, but he said they need him back. So I think he's going to miss the AC Milan game. I think Bogle's the only one so far. I think him and maybe Bornau are the only ones who are predicted to miss the AC Milan game. I think James is back for the AC Milan game. I think Harrison will be back for the AC Milan game. Yippee! But when you look at it, yeah, like I said, when you're looking at Bogle, it'll be interesting to see. I've seen some people say online he's out until Christmas. I mean, that would force Leeds' hand. I don't think that'll be the case, but you never know, I guess. So I'll have to wait and see on that one. I don't see this as cover. I see this as competition exactly the same here, mate. He could indeed, mate. And that's what I love as the sell. I love as the sell. It's just whether or not the player and his representatives agree with that. Come in, be competition, and let's move with that. But it's whether or not the player wants like a guarantee. A lot of the time in player contracts nowadays, in negotiation, they'll say, I want to be playing set amount of games. And when I hit set amount of games, I want to get a bonus of X amount. That's what happens, So Vinícius Tobías and his agent are coming in. Agent fees are a joke nowadays. So a massive portion would go to his agent as well. If he hits 30 games this season, his agent gets 50% of 3 million quid. Does happen. And that is the issue when you're trying to sell competition. And I'd love to sell competition. I mentioned it on here several times, but there's got to be almost we've got to have an objective look at this as well. Parag says he'll pay it. Go on, lad. Get yourself stuck in. Right. Okay. Before we get on to Jonny Rowe, we're going to speak about the new kit. So you guys let me know in the comments section below what you think on the kit. What do you think? Let's wrap these likes up as well, everybody. We've got 1,900 of you in the building. We have 221 likes. That is shocking. Come on, guys. Let's rack them up. It's free. Absolutely free to hit that like button. So, yeah. I think... I mean, it's a third kit, so I'm really not that invested in it. I don't massively like the old V-neck. I always prefer a rounded collar. Available from 8 a.m. if you're interested. The sponsor... I love on the away kit how it's blanked out and it's yellow. That's what I prefer. When the sponsor's like that, I like look at it. It sounds very traditional of me, doesn't it? But red on the old Leeds United shirt does kind of like, it makes me wince a little bit. But maybe that's the sort of archaic sort of head of mine. Maybe I need to move with the times. But I did like what I like Dortmund's, Dortmund's and Vodafone. Our Vodafone have like blanked it out, their red into a yellow sort of marking. I don't really understand why Leeds can't do that with Red Bull, but it is what it is. It's obviously their marketing. Do they want to blank out the Red Bull? I guess with Vodafone, there's nothing sort of reference to the color. I guess in the scan, I know it's an energy drink, but red is a big thing, isn't it? Red Bull. So maybe that's why they want the coloring in there. I think for me, it's twirling scarves, isn't it? It's twirling scarves. That's what the pattern is. I initially thought it was just like blotches, but when you look at it a little bit more, it's twirling scarves. Not a fan, I'll be honest with you, but it is the third kit. It's a bit retro. Yeah, I mean, I'd actually get rid of the twirling scarves and just have it as it is. Even if it's black. I did like the black kit in the Chileno era, the away kit. And it's a third kit, isn't it? So it's always supposed to be a bit weird. And we're never going to get like what we all want, which is white, yellow, and blue as like 3 kits. Never going to happen, is it? It's not happened in a while. I think actually the Chileno era was the last time it happened, wasn't it? Do you remember when he sort of ignored the sponsor? But yeah, not for me. I don't like the twirling scarves. I don't like the twirling scarves. That's just my thoughts. Kingy says, I really hope next season we get the red third kit just to separate the scum haters from the actual fans. It looks daft trying hard on this one. Might bite with Vobber on the back. Got my away kit today. I love this third kit. Fair enough, mate. Rob's opinion is there. Or a white lined version. Stevie says, I don't know if I like it or dislike it. Yeah, I like a lot of the Leeds kits. You'll know that because I buy them all. I buy all the Leeds. I never used to, but I do. I just buy all the kits now. I looked at this morning and I thought, do I want to get that in? You know, could I go down to Leeds and buy it in and head to Ireland? Not for me. I just love the blue kit. I think the blue kit's class. I think they've absolutely nailed the blue kit. The yellow kit, sorry, the white kit, it's all right. I actually prefer last season's white kit. I would wear that over the new white kit. I'm just not a fan of like the low fields thing on the sleeves. It's all right. It's okay. But I think you can do better with a trim like Real Madrid show all the time. Like you can have the crystal white top, but you can do better with the trim. You can do different things with the trim, which makes it stand out a little bit. Yeah, I'm not a massive fan of the home kit. It's all right, but I won't go out and buy the home kit. I'm not going to go out and buy that. But the blue kit, I think, is probably one of the best kits we've had in a long time as an away kit. I absolutely love it. So Sam says it's a great idea, but the execution is poor. It's too much, and the Red Bulls could have been blue. It's mad in it when you actually look at like just simultaneously putting like yeah, even if they had that as like the coloring, even if they had the bulls as like either a blue or like a really dark blue to fit in with the background of the kit, I don't think that will be bad whatsoever. This is Pathos. This Pathos FC says this is Leeds. We're bigger than Red Bull. They should make an exception for us and call it Blue Bull in Leeds. Appreciate the effort in making it different. Just feels a little. It does, doesn't it, James? You'd be able to do that, mate, wouldn't you? Just like a little sort of like if you know you're editing, that's just like getting like a PNG in it. You've got like the Adidas, like look, the Adidas blueprint. Here we go. The Adidas blueprint, which you see on every Adidas shirt. I'd have loved it if they'd have had the old school logo on there, by the way. But it's doing that and then just getting like a JPEG image, shoving it on here. And if you know you're editing, decreasing the opacity to like 50-40%, making sure you just rub out the sides so nobody sees the Leeds fans like that. And you've just got the scarves. Or just screen it. Just screen it in Photoshop and it'd come up with that. I reckon I could come up with that in like a matter of like minutes. So I know what you mean, guys. I do get it. Ross says, sorry, Ross says, I know it's boring, but we've all said it before, but the Bulls were blue. Be actually be beautiful. Luke says, should have used last season's yellow as the third kit. Concept kits are better always, mate. Always. Old school logo and smiley badge, it'd look amazing. Yeah, although I do look at the smiley badge now, and I've got that kit, the yellow one, but I don't wear it that much. Someone said to me once that the smiley badge is too big. And after they said that, I couldn't get it out of my head. I kind of just wanted the small smiley badge. So anyway, right, Jonny Rowe, let's have a go. According to reports this morning, Leeds United are back in for Jonny Rowe. Now, there's been reports overnight that Besiktas and Fenerbahce are really keen, but Rowe doesn't want to move. Rowe does not want to move to Turkey. That's not in his plans. Team Talk, which is quoted by the Yorkshire Evening Post this morning, has said that Leeds United are now back in for Jonny Rowe at Marseille. Now, how I've kind of looked at this is I think overall, I would almost be like a little bit, how do I put this, like disappointed in a way. But the only reason I've mentioned this being slightly disappointing is because we missed out on Pai Zhao. That was it. But I have to say, and I can be wrong, believe it or not, I can be wrong. It does happen every now and again. But let's just get his stats up. Okay. Now, we were so interested in him, weren't we, not long ago? Let's just get his stats up so you guys can have a quick look. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of it. Oh, you're just going to be annoying, aren't you? Right, we're going to have to get rid of all of them because they're just being childish. And now we've got a black screen. Hold on. There we go. So when you look at it, he's still like a youngish lad, isn't he? He's a young lad. Got 15 goal involvements. 15 goal involvements at Norwich, didn't he? And I was saying the other day, like, is that the best of his career? But then you look at his age, and I can't be a hypocrite. I can't say when I'm talking about Nonto, when I'm talking about other players, I can't just say, oh, well, it's not good enough. But then with Nonto and others, I'm saying, yeah, but look at their age. And I'm not looking at their age when it comes to Jonny Rowe. The development out in Marseille has been a little bit narrowed, but his goals per 90 isn't bad. It's really not. His minutes per goal isn't bad. If you put him in to a Leeds United side, he's going to add a hell of a lot of speed, a hell of a lot of dynamism. And maybe some of you will say, Connor, you're lowering your expectations, but he's tall, he's athletic. I think when you look at him overall, I was expecting him to come and maybe feature on that right hand side. But when you read in reports in and around Marseille, they featured him a little bit more on the left. And when you're looking at it overall as well, they can put Aubameyang out there. Apparently, they see Aubameyang as Pajau cover. If we're to bring in Jonny Rowe, would it be the worst signing? I'm not 100% sure it would. I'm not 100% sure it would. And I'm kind of looking at what I was saying, and it was in the heat of the moment when it comes to Pajau. And I was thinking you can't really go from Pajau to Jonny Rowe. And I do believe that because there's nobody going to be on the same level as Pajau. Jonny Rowe is not on the same level as Pajau, but so many others aren't. So it's kind of like, what do you see as that like level down? Okay. So when you look at Bilal El Khannouss is not the same as Jonny Rowe. He's a completely different player. He's a number 10. So you'd effectively get Bilal El Khannouss, Jonny Rowe, and an attacker, and then a fullback. So you go for four, which would be amazing, wouldn't it? That'd be amazing depth. And maybe the Niners will do that. But I didn't expect, and it probably won't happen, but I didn't expect Leeds United to do anything else out wide. But kind of when you look at the wide options, you think to yourself, well, there's James on the right, there's Nonto who can play on the right, and there's Ramazani who can play on the left. He doesn't really, work wide right, or have that availability of wide right. So kind of when you look at those three, I guess it is a little bit thin. And you've then not, and Farke's mentioned this, you've not replaced Solomon. And he kept mentioning that, didn't he, the other day when we were playing? He's right. You've not replaced a winger. So effectively, you want two players for each position, don't you? Now, it's key to know Bilal Khannouss is not in that conversation because he's more of like a number 10, in my opinion. Some would say he's an 8. I think he's a 10. So he's not in that conversation. But if you wanted to replace, if you wanted to replace a winger, Jonny Rowe for 17 million quid, and then you bring in Bilal El Khannouss for, let's say you hit his release clause for 25 million quid, right? And then you brought in two attacking players for just over like 40 million quid. And then you can go get Rodrigo Muniz. Or you're gonna have to get a number 9. They're gonna have to get a number 9. And this is why I don't think the Vinicius rumours from Shaktar are gonna be that obvious. I don't think this will happen because I think Leeds will get fullback cover, but they'll be smarter with the cover. I think they'll be able to get like we've mentioned, a James Justin, which feels like it's an obvious one. But let's say if they didn't go out and get Rodrigo Muniz, let's say they went out and got Rasmus Højlund for 30 million quid, right? They go out and get 30 million quid. They're gonna have to put that money up. They're gonna have to put money up, big money up now for the marquee signings. I think Rowe would be pretty marquee. Khannouss would definitely be marquee, and then Højlund or flipping Rodrigo Muniz would be your highlight as well. So I think I've come round to it a little bit more. I was in the phase of the post Pajau morning, but when you take a step back and you have a look at it, maybe this wouldn't be the worst option because you think of what Leeds need. You need versatility, you need athleticism, and you need someone who, I've said this before, is playing in the top 5 leagues in Europe right now. He is one of them, yeah? And he's still very young. So could he come in? Could he be an option? Could he be a bit of an unknown quantity? And then you kind of get in him potentially on the left, potentially on the right, and you've got that versatility as well if one of the lads had to go down injured. What do you guys think? Let's have a look. No to row. No to row. Okay. Johnny, no. No. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. I don't know if we're talking about Jonny Rowe anymore or if we're talking about the kit in the chat. Let's have a look at what you guys are saying. Leeds signing Rowe would be no better than Ipswich signing Hutchison, I should say. Absolutely not a statement sign. It's not. It's not a statement signing. Of course, it's not. But it is a facilitator. It is a signing of which you're looking at, and you think of the Leeds United blueprint going forward this season, and you think to yourself, how is he going to aid it? How is he going to complement the wingers? And if you brought in, let's say, a Bilal El Khannouss, and you brought in a Jonny Rowe, and let's say you're looking at those two as almost a Pejao replacement in terms of the impact, would that be that bad? I'm not sure it would be. I'm not sure. Very different players, Kingy. Very different players, in my opinion. Really, really different players. Zagrova, I think he's going to Marseille. No to Rowe, need better than Rowe. Ability to play both sides, DF connection, part of the England 21 setup, sell on value. He's a 10 who's played on the wing, just joined. Did everyone see that third kit? Don't need depth on the wings, need a needle mover. Rowe isn't keeping his up. Well, yeah, I don't think solely he's going to. I guess Luke's said that's kind of where I'm at. If Jonny Rowe's to come in, and then on top of Jonny Rowe, you've got Bilal El Khannouss, you've got Muniz and James Justin. Is that a bad window? Is that a bad window? And if we're thinking about wingers right now, who would be your ideal as somebody who can play maybe either side, which is clearly what Leeds are looking at. Clearly what Leeds are looking at. If you're targeting Jonny Rowe. And you've got to think about the affordability as well. Bakwa seems complicated. I know a lot of people are putting Bakwa in the chat. It seems quite complicated. And that will be as much of a risk, in my opinion, as Jonny Rowe right now. Edin Zagrova, we've mentioned him before, but I think he's going to Marseille. Dean says, I would rather have Rowe than Solomon back. I would too, personally. I would too. And, when you're looking at proving it in a top league as well, and that's not to say Solomon wouldn't prove it at Marseille, but we're talking it, we're being very, nitpicky here, aren't we? But Jonny Rowe's done okay. He's done all right in his first season at Marseille. I don't think that will be the marquee signing, but I think it's a facilitator. I think you're bringing two players in to effectively replace Pejao, which I don't think is a bad option because you're never going to get anyone in the market right now who's on Pejao's level who would be willing to come to Leeds. It's just not going to happen. So I don't know. Rowe, BK, Muniz and Justin will make a great window. King said that's a horrible window. But Kingy, a lot of your targets, mate, with the greatest of respects, a lot of them are young prodigies who are on the European circuit and are being looked at by massive clubs. Massive clubs, mate. So you got to look at it. Are we going to be the only club looking at backward realistically at Strasbourg after his last season? Absolutely not. Zuccarova, are we going to be the only club looking at him? Evidently not. And he's not had a great second half to the season anyway. And there's been some massive attitude problems there as well when you're looking at Edin Zagrova. Yeah, he's been compared to Eden Hazard. Okay, rated at Lille, but there's some mass problems there. We've got to think about coming away to a certain extent from all these sort of football manager youth targets of which we go online, we see on FIFA, we see on football manager. That's no disrespect, but you've got to think to yourself as Leeds, a newly promoted side, if you're to bring in that level of player, I think it's realistic. I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know where some of this is my opinion as well. It doesn't mean that it's the be all and end all. I don't know where some of us think we genuinely are when it comes to a club right now in the Premier League. Don't get me wrong, newly promoted, 100%, but we're a newly promoted side. All these top talents in Europe, of which is listed in the room mill every morning, these 18, 19, 20-year-old players, as if we're not the only club in for them. As if, the scouting networks of the Premier League aren't looking at these players right now, and all the other clubs across Europe as well. And you can go in for these players, but you've got to be realistic as well. Got to be realistic for me, in my opinion anyway. So, do you want me to get it in the chat? Let's get it in the chat. And let's see what you guys are saying. Okay, I'm interested to see this one. Johnny, I reckon it's going to be overwhelming. And look, am I a bit of a hypocrite with it potentially? But the more I've looked at it, the more I've looked at Rowe, and as I said, my opinion on Rowe was very post Pajau, and immediately after I was asked about it, I said, look, it's no way we can go from Pajau to Rowe. But is it becoming a little bit more realistic now? And I've mentioned we shouldn't go for the realistic signings, but it's not exactly like Johnny Rowe's a bad player. We're a massive, massive fans of going for Jonny Rowe this time last season. I get it's in the championship, but if you want him for the championship at 20, 21 years of age, you are also planning for him to be in the Premier League. Of course, you are, especially if Leeds were willing at the time of which we apparently were to put him on like a 4 or 5 year deal. Right, Johnny Rowe's in the chat. Yes or no? Let us know. I think this is going to get an overwhelming no, which is fine. Absolutely fine. Let's have a look. You guys get in the chat. Let me know. We also have nearly 900 of you in the building, everybody. Do us a solid and let's get that up to past 1,000. Can we get 2,000 likes? 2,000 likes? Interesting. The poll's a little bit closer than I thought. We've already had 180 in the building. It's very split. This is very split. Very split indeed. And I guess if you look at Rowe overall, and you look at him going from Norwich to Marseille when he's in the Championship and Norwich are not doing that well, 15 goal involvements. When you're looking at it, when you're taking a step back, he effectively got Champions League football straight away, didn't he? Champions League football straight away from a move from Norwich, which I tell you what is a bit of a step up, isn't it? So it's not that Marseille are doing incredible business all the time, but that is a real step up. De Zerbi apparently really likes him, really likes his attitude as well. But they're just looking at better players now. If Edin Zagrova is going to go in, obviously he's got a much higher ceiling according to several people, even though there's some attitude stuff there. Pajau, Aubameyang, if they're going for Tim Weah, there's loads of rumours around Marseille and wingers. But I don't know. I don't know. I think if you supplement a Pajau and you go out and get a Bilal El Khannouss and a Jonny Rowe, two almost creators and different dynamics in a front line to that of one, I think Pajau is an unbelievable player. But at the same time, if you then to facilitate a Rodrigo Muniz up top and then you to bring in really decent fullback cover, would that be that bad? Would it be that? What is the expectation here? You know? And I get it's that next bracket, but when you're getting all of these English clubs that are apparently in for Rowe, are apparently looking at Rowe right now, I've just got a few teams on screen there that I've specifically mentioned, but apparently there are a host of English clubs waiting for him, Premier League clubs waiting for him. You've got Besiktas, Fenerbahce, AC Milan have inquired about him. When you're looking at these clubs, it's like, where do we see? I'm just a little bit like, I don't know, like how when you look at it, and I get it's the needle mover. We keep mentioning that we can't be hypocrites on here. But if you supplement maybe two, like a creator and a dynamic winger to aid to almost supplement that of Pajau, and then you put Muniz up front if you are to get Muniz. Now, if we went out and just solely got, let's say, Jonny Rowe, and if we got just Jonny Rowe now, and then we went out and got like Rasmus Højlund, I'd probably turn around and be like, yeah, it's not great. It's not ideal. That is not great. But if you, I think, yeah, you Bilal El Khannouss, you bring in James Justin, you bring in Jonny Rowe. I think that's a pretty good window for where we are. I really do. I think it's a good window. Get Kevin. We can't get Kevin, mate. I think there's about 40 clubs in for him and they want 35 million quid. Kingy says, well, we didn't do everything for Pajau. We waited and waited. We could have gone straight for him. We could have got a better manager to entitle. Nah, that's just not true, Kingy. Mate, I always respect your opinion. I always get it up in here, mate. You're always a controversial character in here, mate. And I respect your opinion, of course, like I respect everybody's opinion. But there's no that's just not true, in my opinion. I'm not going to berate you or anything there, mate. And I respect your opinion. I think you're a very knowledgeable dude in here, as everybody is. But if you're in conversation with Pajau and Pajau doesn't want to come to Leeds, what can we do? What can we do? We're not miracle workers. If he wants Champions League football, he never agreed personal terms with Leeds United. He agreed personal terms with Marseille in around about 2 weeks of their interest. He always wanted to go to Marseille, mate. That's been that. Come on, lad. Great potential, can play both sides with huge talent, but that's kind of where I'm at, boy, in the bandana. You got to take a step back sometimes. You got to take a step back and have a little bit of a look, of course. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But as you can see, everybody, it's a hotbed of brilliant opinions in here, from Kingy all the way to Stu. Let's have a look. So we've got 54% no, fair enough, and 46% of you who say yes. That is in and around nearly 350 votes. So it's probably quite a good metric. Probably quite a good metric, if I'm honest with you. Parag Marath says Kevin wants Leeds. Cheers, Parag. Let's move in for him then. Right. I'll tell you what, you lovely lot. We're going to leave it there. I'm going to have to go and see how the missus is. Yeah, was obviously if you are new, I know some of the latecomers come in here. I was at A&E last night, and I've had about 30 minutes sleep because she was struggling last night. So I'm not going to get into it. But thank you for all your support this morning. I really appreciate it. Arch, I've just seen you commenting here, mate. Been a while. Keep up the good work, pal. I'd have Grealish if he's willing to go to Everton. He can play 10 as well. Largely starts over Rowe. Yeah, I guess, Archie, it's a bit of competition, though, isn't it, mate? So that's the beautiful thing. But thanks for your comment, mate. Thanks for your donation. Thanks for all your donations this morning, everybody, and all the lovely comments anyway. And listen, get your comments in. I don't care how controversial they are in the comment section after the video as well. I always watch them. I will upload this to Spotify and iTunes for all of you. I will timestamp this for all of you. But yeah, I'm gonna have to head off now because I can hear a calling that I need to be off. So guys, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for all of your support consistently, and I will see you tomorrow for the last room mill before the weekend. It's been an absolute pleasure, everybody. Like, comment, subscribe. See you on the other side. Cheers.